Working on a 2005 Nissan Xterra. I have taken it in the past 6 months about 15,000 miles from Texas up to Canada and back down the western coast, across deserts and mountains, and it's held up pretty well. But I'm noticing in the past 3 or 4 weeks it's been getting kind of warm. The temperature gauge is going up higher than I would like it, so I've been diagnosing it a bit. Oh, and this is my travel trailer that I've been towing behind the Xterra. Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what the problem is. I have replaced the radiator. This is brand new as of a month ago. These are new radiator hoses. Aluminum pipe here. It runs all the way over there, and that tube is new because this is like a male plastic nipple that sticks out. Hot water's coming through the heater core, and it just broke off. Wiggled it like this, and it just snapped off and sprayed hot coolant, so be careful. So I'm going to replace the thermostat. Can't see it from here, but it's right down there where the radiator, the lower radiator tube hooks in. I'm going to replace it again. I replaced it about 20,000 miles ago, but I'm going to replace it again with a Nissan genuine part, an OEM. Alright, I'm going to start by removing the skid plate. I'm wearing these goofy goggles because anytime I'm down here, dirt falls in my eyes. There's about 8 bolts down here, including this. By the way, to get that guard off, it's a 10 millimeter. You come under here, you got your oil filter, your radiator, and this is what we're going to be draining here, this petcock, the old lefty loosey. I washed out this bucket, so it should be as clean as it needs to be. There it goes. I'm going to let this drain for a while. While the coolant is draining, I'm going to take off this hood and the shroud and the air duct. As you can tell, I'm not a mechanic. Okay, I've got that just setting up here. I didn't disconnect it here, otherwise I could pull all of this off. But I put the bolts back in here. These 2 bolts are actually in the shroud there. So this could actually be taken off further. I don't really see the point in it. All right, I lied. Now that that's all out of the way, everything's almost drained from the radiator. So I'm gonna drop down beneath it and undo the bottom of the fan shroud. And then once that's done, I'm gonna unscrew. Then I'll unhook this wire here, this clip, and undo the hoses. This plastic shroud should pull out. We'll see the fan and the serpentine belt and everything like that. Good Lord, this hose. Anyway, I need both hands, so I can't hold the camera. Maybe I can set it here and you can watch. There we go. Pull those loose from in there. Pull this down. And work it around this hose. Just looks like that. Undo this. This is and then this bolt, and this bolt. I ended up having to take this off, the top radiator hose. There's the fan. There's what everything looks like when it comes out. This is a separate piece, but it slides down in slots in the bottom. You'll see them when you're down there. Those slots there. We're down here by the fan. I'm going to take this off, and that should give me access to everything I need right here. I'll take this hose, the bottom radiator hose off, or lower. I'm going to zoom in really quick. The fan has 4 bolts. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are 10 millimeter bolts, just like everything else. Next step is to get down here, undo these, and replace that thermostat. So that's the thermostat, and you see some antifreeze drip in there. I'm not gonna lie, getting those 2 hoses off, this one from here and this one from here, was not easy. And this is a new radiator hose, so it was on there pretty tight. I'm glad I had everything out of the way to get to it. Still managed to get a little scraped up. So there's 3 bolts right here, and then on the bottom. Again, I believe those are 10 millimeter. So, so far so good with only needing one socket. Here's the thermostat, the old one. By old, I mean maybe 20,000 miles. The gasket is mostly torn off here when I pulled it. So I'll be scraping that and probably scraping it from down here. That's where it goes. Here is the bright and shiny thermostat. No, it does not have any bolts with it, so I'm going to use those previous bolts. The third party. So this says Nissan right there on it. That says Motherlode. Motherlode. Do not advise. I'm going to wipe down this whole area probably with alcohol. Scrape the gasket off of that one. When you scrape it, you got to be really gentle. Use something, maybe even plastic, because you don't want to mar that. You don't want to scratch any of this because it won't get a good seal and then you'll be leaking coolant. Okay, after about 30 or 45 minutes, I've managed to clean the gasket. I'm sure there are mechanics and other professionals looking at this saying that is not a clean surface for another gasket, but that is as good as it's gonna get. There's gonna be a new gasket sitting up against it. I thought I'd be done with this entire process in about an hour. Behold the new thermostat, shiny and new. I'm gonna put a little soapy water around the top of it just to make the hose slide on. These are hooked back up. When you're putting the fan back on, that it says front in the front, you don't want to reverse that. Alright, I got the fan back on with the 4 bolts. Now I'm going to drop the shroud and the electric fan in and get it in those slots down there. It's starting to rain on me, so the light is dimming and I'm just burping it right now. I'm squeezing this hose. The reservoir is full. The problem I'm having is that it did not take all that drained out. Turn it on, heat it up, let it cool down, and wash, rinse, repeat. That's it. That's all I know for the thermostat.